We are back here for Product Copy. It's been a couple weeks. Glad you can all be here with us. If this is your first time here, we're glad to have you. Hope you're here with us in the Zoom. If you're not, if you're out on YouTube, glad to have you joining us on YouTube as well. Go over to productcopy.com and sign up on our mailing list so that you can get the invitations to join us in the Zoom. We are actually sold out today. We have a maximum capacity crowd in the Zoom chat. So if you're not already a Product Copy Insiders member, the way you guarantee that you get in the Zoom, even if we're sold out, is to become an Insiders member. And you can find out all about that at productcopy.com. We'd love to have you here with us. It's a lot more fun if you're here in the meetup with us. But let's get started. So we're going to start off talking about product discovery for our first cup discussion and whether it's becoming performative. And the reality is everyone says we do product discovery. Fewer people can actually prove that it changed a decision. Today, we're going to dig into the difference between real discovery and discovery theater, what actually creates a signal that you can use, and what just creates slide decks, and how to spot the difference before your team burns through another sprint with no value or with limited value. So let's introduce our first cup panel. First up, he trains product leaders, writes lots of books, and shreds guitar. Welcome, Steve Johnson, who is the CEO and founder of Product Growth Leaders. Welcome, and you got your new book on the screen. Kelly's got the URL for that too. We're gonna excellent, customerconversations.info. Excellent. So next up, he's an AI product leader, an award-winning speaker, and somehow still has time for fast cars and the outdoors. Welcome, Alex Sherman, my good friend, head of product at Lazo. Welcome, Alex.
Hello, hello.
Hello. All right. And we're still looking at Steve. That's okay. We'll see. There's Alex. There he is, our own personal Jesus. You love it. You know it. And lots of people pick up a new book while they're traveling, but Minesh leaves them behind. Welcome to Minesh Patel. He's Senior Director of Product Management at Aviana Healthcare. And she's a PhD turned product leader, a Tokyo-loving world traveler, and the loudest singer at any 80s cover band. Welcome our newest member, April Dawn. Welcome, April.
Oh, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Glad you're here. So let's get started. So Steve, you work with a lot of different companies doing a lot of good product things and a lot of bad product things. How are people actually treating the notion of product discovery in your view?
People are treating it as something they'd love to be able to do if they were allowed to do it. I was training a group recently. I do a lot of training / coachings with product teams. And I asked, who has talked to a customer this week? And nobody said they had talked to a customer this week. And I said, well, what about this month? None. What about this year? No. And I think in many cases, they don't even know that they're supposed to be doing discovery. The way the Agile courses teach it, you sit in your cubicle and wait for someone to come in and give you an idea, and then you write up the Jira ticket and your work is done. And that's going to be something I can already replace with AI. But having real customer conversations with real people about their real problems is something I really believe cannot be done by AI, because AI can only tell you what has been said. It can't tell you what has not been said.
Yeah, it can't tell you about the stack of Post-it notes sitting on your customer's desk while you're talking to them about how they do their work and they're telling you their ideal process, but you're seeing all the backup systems that they have in place that are under the radar.
Yeah, and that was a real epiphany for me. The first time I ever visited a customer, they were telling me about their perception of the problem, but as you said, I was observing problems. And, I think even today, it's so easy to get on a Zoom call, but it's amazing what you can see if you're actually physically in a room with somebody.
Alex, you taught product and led product practices and coached product at Kaiser Permanente. Now you're head of product at Lazo. What are you seeing? I know that you are personally a real fan and a great student of product discovery. But what are you seeing around you as well? Do you see people adopting this automatically, or is it something you have to push down people's throats?
I don't know about pushing down people's throats, but there's definitely a lack of understanding of what maybe discovery is and how to do it. And there's a bit of a fear there that they may do it wrong. And to Steve's point, there's also organizations that make it very difficult for their teams to even reach out and do any type of like problem or even evaluative and like solution discovery. And so I've observed a lot of that. I've seen fear in leaders where they are scared to have a user experience person talk to their customers thinking that they would misinterpret some of it and build the wrong thing, which there's risk in that, but there shouldn't be a layer of like a way to block people from that. And so it's definitely, there's a maturity level. I think most folks don't know how to do it or haven't done it in a way that is effective. And I think when they do try it on their own, it can be performative where they don't know how to take actions. So just some examples are, okay, we created a persona or jobs to be done. Now what?
Yeah.
And they haven't talked to anybody, right? They haven't validated any of those assumptions. Maybe they even did some usability testing or prototype testing, but they don't take any actions off of it. And it just kind of sits there and gathers dust. And so there's got to be intent behind it. And so it takes time, but once people see it, it's pretty transformative and they always want to push for it and continue with it.
It is amazing the difference that it makes. I think some of the demos when we get here into the Claude Cowork demo and walk through here in a few minutes are going to really underscore that even more, how impactful having good discovery backing you up can be to the decisions that you make.
Makes your job easier.
Yeah, it really does. So, I want to tell if you're sitting here in the audience, especially in Zoom, also if you're out on YouTube, this is not like a typical webinar panel discussion. You're part of this discussion. We're going to invite you to jump in and give us your take, give us your thoughts. Here, I've got a couple of more. We're gonna take a look at Minesh and April's point of view here in just a moment as well. But we'd love for you to also pop your hands in the air and join us and be part of this discussion as well. We'll call you up to the front and you can ask questions, respond however you want. This is a meetup. We're talking to each other. We're going to give you an opportunity to introduce yourselves to each other a little bit here in just a moment as well. Would love you to make sure your camera's on and you're actively taking part of the discussion. If you're out there on YouTube, hit the chat box. There's several people out there with you that you can engage with and introduce yourself to and drop your thoughts in as well. Okay. Let's move over to you, Minesh. So you're Senior Director of Product at Aveanna Healthcare. You are dealing with a fairly diverse team and a fairly diverse set of customers. You've got kind of a B2B to C ultimately in the healthcare space, right?
Right.
So tell me what discovery looks like for you.
To Alex's point earlier, we do have challenges with certain parts of the business where we're not allowed to get in front of them. Right. And so that's one of the big challenges there. But there's a maturity level from an individualistic standpoint. We see varieties over there. But when it comes to discovery, I think everyone's got their own definition of a discovery. And I think that's where we lose sight of what's really needs to get done. And then when the deliverable occurs, it's not really delivering anything.
It's not outcome focused.
It's more activity focused.
Yeah.
A lot of process as part of the process of doing stuff to get it to the developer so that they can build stuff for us comes into the way, as opposed to understanding what truly is the business outcome that's driving. We had a situation where time was very short to get something done, and the cycles between developer and product manager were literally days or less than a day. They would go back and forth. This is 6 years ago.
Okay.
And the outcome was actually delivered. People could actually use the application, and the business kept on running based on that. Today, a lot of different parts of the organization has these long processes that you have to go through, and you end up spending a lot of time there. But then they lose sight of the discovery part of it. So I think probably it's checkbox for the most part. Just that I talked to Jane and we're done because I got 30 other steps to go through. And I think that's where the challenge is. We introduce our own problems with, hey, what is real product management? And we bring in process to, unfortunately, subjugate it to not being a priority.
Yeah, it's tough because as organizations go through that growth and maturity, they start to create all of these risk management, and especially in the healthcare space, it's
Right.
highly regulated, very risk intolerant. And so all these systems get put in place to ensure that the technology is reliable, but it takes away time from doing the things that you want to do to understand what problems you could be solving.
Add that things are looking promising in the sense of building out tool sets that automatically handle the process, but I'm not sure yet if people will change and spend more time doing discovery.
Interesting. It'll be fun to watch.
It will be.
Yeah.
It will be. And by the end of the year, we will know
Uh-huh.
whether the tools that we put out there save them a lot of time, but are they doing more discovery?
Yep.
So we'll find out.
And let me jump in real quick here, Jason. It seems that the only real discovery we might be doing is solution discovery.
Yes, very
It's
much
like
so.
we vibe coded this thing, or we've not vibe coded it. We've got a prototype or whatever. And don't you like what I have built is not a very good interview question. And in my book, I talked about you start with actually persona discovery. Who are you trying to make happy? Then you go to problem discovery. Then you go to solution validation. And at best, people are doing just the solution validation. And again, starting with the statement of, I've built this thing, I'm really proud of it. Don't you like it? Would you buy such a thing? And you're like, the mom test.
Right.
Oh, I love you. Or, I'm sure you'll do great.
Exactly.
Well, this morning, I had to remind someone that very same thing. Stop solutioning and understand the problem at hand, first and foremost, and understand the specifications. The solutions will come.
Yeah.
They're a dime a dozen. But it's only natural for people to talk about those solutions. And I think that's where we get distracted from everything else in the universe.
I think those of us who end up in roles like this, we're inherently problem solvers. We want to solve the problem. And so, but taking the time and the space to understand the problem is something that we can spend more time on. April, this is your first time on the First Cup. Welcome to the fire pit, or whatever we're going to call it, the coffee bar. So, and you've been with us for a few weeks now, and I'm really glad to have you. Tell us a little bit about your background and what you're seeing in your world, and what you're seeing, what you're hearing from your peers, and what you've experienced when it comes to discovery being something that's really a high priority that you put a lot of effort and thought into, or if it's a check the box activity.
Great. Well, thanks. Yes. So I'm a long veteran of product management, been doing product leadership for quite some time. I'm a portfolio manager as well. So I've had the full P&L responsibility. So I've owned the end-to-end experience, including the commercial success of my product portfolio. So, the buck stops with me, right? So whether a product lands or just gets launched really is on my shoulders. I would say that, discovery is hard, and it's not an easy endeavor. And it's also not it's not really paid that much attention to. It is, I think it's sort of more theater and a checkbox now, but I think it's changing. I think the landscape is completely changing. And the challenges are, who does discovery? If you look at some of the research recently, sometimes it's UX designers, and their goals of doing discovery are far different, and their questions are far different than what a product manager needs to have answered. And because discovery is hard, often it's offloaded, right? Product managers are busy. They offload it to UI, UX. I've seen this happen. And then you start building products that solve a button problem or an interface problem and not an actual user problem. But I do see there's also challenges in training. Product managers are not trained research scientists. I mean, I come from a research science background, so I understand the value of a good planned study. And where I see really some great, exciting things coming is the ability to take that out of the equation with AI training, AI tools that can help you actually become a good research scientist without having to be a research scientist. How many customers do you need to talk to? What does your experimental design look like? What are the best approaches to getting the answers you want based on the questions that you have? And who do you need to talk to? All of these things can be, I think, assisted with AI. And then finally, you're really seeing the reason why I think it's a checkbox comes from the top down. And it's really on the responsibility of the product manager. But I would say that because discovery isn't really all that effective, it doesn't really correlation and causation. Just because you get a good thumbs up doesn't mean you're solving a user problem. So I think executives tend to question whether the research was really all telling them anything at all. But I think there's an opportunity here to close that gap. And I think product discovery is becoming more and more important because we have the tools to speed it up, because we have the tools to make it more effective and answer the right questions.
Excellent. I was thinking as you were talking about that, I think that I would love to talk to you about having you come be a part of a panel or a full discussion on bringing that research scientist background and mindset into product discovery, into product management. I know Cavell Benjamin, who is one of our regulars here as well, he's on the road today, but has been building out a process at Granger where he's taking research science principles and bending that into both industrial goods and industrial software product management, supply chain software product management. So I think that'd be a really great session for us to have here at Product Coffee. So that's great perspective. Thanks, April. Welcome.
Sure. Thank you. No problem.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
If
All
there's no one on the Zoom that has a comment or
So let me give that call to action, and then you're going to just keep talking. So it's time to put your hands in the air, and would love to introduce some of you, give you an opportunity to introduce yourself, ask your question, give your 2 cents as well. Go ahead, Minesh.
So April got me thinking about research scientists, Matt Waller, a behavioral scientist, right? We had the book
Yep.
from him. And the way April put it, I never really thought about, hey, our education program for being a product manager
Mhm.
doesn't incorporate any of that. I don't see it in pragmatics books. I don't see it in a lot of the product management education stuff. I mean, Steve is a different ball game, right?
Mhm.
He's a totally different ball game. But for the majority of the other stuff, I don't see that. And I just thought about, hey, that actually might be taking a different angle, might actually yield a different result.
To your point, most of the courses out there say you need to go do this. You need to go talk to customers. And we've got maybe
that's
some
it.
other materials on how to a template for an interview or a template for an interview tracker or a customer tracker, but not really a how do I go from never having done a research interview to being an expert at doing product research?
Right.
Some of it's reps, but you need a framework, you need help.
And the material is this small.
Mm-hmm.
And we probably need to make that material more dominant in trainings. And I just thought about that from that
Great perspective.
And it is sad how big the book is for how to write user stories, and how small the book is for how to find out what users need.
Right. And how many books we have on that. Right, Steve?
Indeed.
You only need Mike
Indeed.
Cones, but other than that, you're fine. The Krishen Kota is one of our premium members. Welcome, my friend. Glad to have you here. Why don't you jump on here, introduce yourself to everybody who doesn't know you, tell them who you are and what you're working on, and what has your attention, and what's on your mind.
Thanks. Yeah, Christian Kota. I'm with Mindshift Dynamics. I'm a consultant on product stuff and working a lot in the AI space around this year, doing some discovery around risk assessment and governance and what small and medium-sized businesses need. But on this topic, I kind of see, from my standpoint, discovery, regardless of the process, is one of the pinch points I see is talking to customers, and then they really try to explain things. If you're trying to elicit what the problem is, what their challenges are, they really try to talk in a standpoint of a solution that's in their head, like how they're trying to describe the solution rather than the problem. So like when I work with younger product managers, it's really like you have to understand they're describing a solution and you really have to dig in to understand what the problem really is. So I'm interested in how that fits into discovery processes, but that's one of the things I see missing is really the human interaction part and really understanding what the problem is and diving down to understand the problem rather than just taking the surface level. Oh, we need a whatever feature so we can, do something, but it's a lot of times masking what the root cause of the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I could just jump in really quick just to respond to Christian. Learning how to interview is a very important skill. As humans, we suffer from all human things that we have, like confirmation bias. We have psychological biases that tend us to want to confirm what we already believe. Guiding the user, guiding them down a path towards what you believe is very hard to not do, even unconsciously. So learning how to interview, learning how to ask questions is also a skill that none of us really are taught. And it's very important. So I really appreciate that point there. Being a good interviewer is paramount to getting the right types of answers.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Christian. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Steve and April. Chuck, you've got your hand in the air, and Mark has his virtual hand in the air. We'll pull around to him next. Chuck, introduce yourself to everybody.
Great comments from everybody. I think one of the things why I'm always amazed it isn't happening more too, but I also think it's one of those things that we overcomplicate to begin with, because we're talking research studies and design. And at the basic, we just need to be getting out and talking to the customers about what they're trying to do, what can't they do. And you can start doing it at the base, but I think we've really got to demystify talking to the customers first so we can do what others are, but then scale up with the training so that we can have the conversations at a greater level. But I still think as a PM, at least I was when I was a young PM, just having a basic conversation with my user about what they ran into illuminated a ton of things. And I love the Teresa Torres thing.
Mm-hmm.
Reach out once a week, something small. We over-projectize things, and it makes it a barrier to start. And I think my argument would be we need to simplify. Some talking is better than no talking, and then we can build up and make that good talking.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Had who was that out there on YouTube? We pulled that in there, Hillbear66. Helpful to look at other disciplines. There's a great book called Demand Side Sales by Bob Mesta. It's a fantastic framework for understanding customer value and demand versus selling your ideas as well. So it's that same kind of concept. Try to keep the selling your ideas, the bias out of the interview, out of the discussion, but really get to root problems and core problems. All right, let's see. Mark Michelson, you have your virtual hand up. Jump in here and introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi, I'm Mark Michelson. I've been in marketing research since '84 as an entrepreneur, created 7 research companies. Just want to give you guys a clue. It doesn't take much. Come up with 10 questions, write them down. Make sure they're not leading in any way. I like to also say, hey, rate this on a scale of 1 to 5. Why'd you give it a 4? Why not a 5? Those are real simple questions. They don't lead anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I would say it's really important to do is observe. Observe well. Pay attention. What are people waiting in line for? Where are they frowning in the experience? What's going on with people? Observation as well as what they say through their mouths and their eyes and their body language. That's it.
Yep. So glad to have you here, Mark. And you're also leading the AI collective here in the Southeast region, right? So
that is true.
Which is a massive
we have a group. Claude.
Go ahead.
We have a Claude community that started. One of our guys on the team has now been officially appointed as the ambassador for Anthropic. And we have our first event, which is kind of a kickoff next week. And that's why I came in here to just kind of see what's going on with Claude. But we are now, officially doing a lot of Claude events as well as a lot more events. If anyone ever wants to do an event with us, get in touch. We'd love to have you.
Excellent. Excellent. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, everybody who's here. And I want to take just a quick moment to thank all of our First Cup panelists. I know some of you may have to run off to meetings, but big thanks to Steve, Alex, Minesh, and April for being here for our First Cup discussion. We've got time for 1 or 2 more introductions. If your camera is on, I would love to invite you to introduce yourself, especially if we haven't spoken to you in quite a while. Let me see who we've got here. Let me say hello to Josh. Josh, why don't you come on camera and say hello? Tell everybody who you are and what has your attention these days. Maybe. Oh, he's on mute still. All right, well, let's jump over and try instead. How about, is it Jamie or Jaime? I'm not sure. I can't see your face yet.
Hi, this is Jaime Manducano.
Hey, Jaime, how are you?
This is
Welcome.
the one that you were referring to. Thank you. Yeah, I'm a first timer here. So I saw the agentic Claude information. I was very interested in on learning a little bit more about it. I used to work for Home Depot. I'm currently looking for other opportunities, but I have experience on the IT side, more than 20 years of experience on the IT side and about 10 years of experience on the product management side. All I can say is I'm very interested on seeing how these tools can help us make our life better, the product management life better. And what interested me from this conversation a lot is, how many definitions of discovery there may be
Yeah.
depending on who you are talking to, right? And I've been in companies that are very structured. They leverage very good the tools and practices. And I've also seen organizations that have their own definition of discovery. And it's very interesting when you sometimes it's just a translation of the gathering requirements and it's just another name for something that they used to do in the past.
Let's get to the reason you're here. Welcome, everybody. Today's session is going to be talking about the agentic product manager, and we're going to really walk through some very real world AI workflows with using Claude Cowork. And if you didn't hear, about a month or so ago, back in late January, Anthropic released a product management skill, or actually a plugin for Claude Cowork. Claude Cowork came out. It's still in research preview mode, but it's a desktop application where that has access to a limited portion of your hard drive, so that you can actually have Claude working with the files and the documents and the information that you have in your own knowledge base, in your own repository, in your own computer. It gives you the power of Claude code without having to go into the command line interface, without having to go into a coding environment to use it. It's really designed for business users, and it gives you a lot of really cool capabilities. Then they released a plugin capability for that as well. And one of the first plugins that came out was the product management plugin. And it's a set of skills. There are 7 of them designed to help product managers do their work better. It was created by the product management team at Anthropic. And what I've done is I've been doing some experimenting and some working with these things. And so I put together a demonstration of how they work for you. I'm going to show you how to get it set up and show you exactly what it looks like when these things are in action, so that if you don't already have a Claude account, and if you've got a Claude subscription, you've got access to this stuff. But if you don't, at the end of today's session, I'm going to be giving away 3 demo licenses to give you a week of Claude Cowork for free, so you can try this stuff out for yourself. And let's get started. And the first thing I want to do is I want to tee up the discussion a little bit. Let me share my screen here. There we go. Okay. So let me know when we got the screen up. We're good? Okay. So the goal today is pretty simple. I want to show you some real world use cases of how using agents can help accelerate your work in product management. But the thing is, before we even get started with that, I want to do some table setting, because most AI demos for product managers start and end with, hey, I'm going to show you how AI can help you build a PRD in 30 seconds or less. And there's several tools out there for helping you do that. But the reality is, if you've been in product management for any time, or if you're just moving into the space, one of the things we talked about was innovation doesn't start with a PRD. It doesn't start with requirements. It starts with understanding customers and opportunities and market needs. And one of the things that we use here a lot at Product Coffee is our friend Steve Johnson and a bunch of product leaders created this framework called the Quartz Open Framework. And you can pick up Steve's book, Turn Ideas into Products, which kind of lays out the basics of it. But the Quartz Open Framework it's truly open source. It's a product management way of thinking, so that you can look at all the activities that you need to execute on as a product manager to get to the outcomes you're responsible for bringing to the table. And it looks like this. There are 6 facets that go around in this wheel, from define and commit, describe, create, prepare, and deliver, with learning at the center. So there's this ecosystem in the framework, the idea that Learning is at the center of every activity you do, of every action that you take in product management. You're setting up ways to learn more so that you can deliver more value. The notion of creating a PRD comes under describe, and that's not the beginning of the process. So we're going to buck the trend a little bit, and we're going to talk about using a complete workflow to go from a hypothesis to product requirements and delivery, all using agentic tools to help us do a more efficient, effective job of it. And by the way, there are some strengths and weaknesses to Claude Cowork. It's not perfect, but I'm going to show you what you can do and help you actually see some real uses. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to show you how to set up Cowork. And let me change my sharing now. Okay, so this is Claude, the desktop application, and you've probably seen this somewhere before or something similar to it. But what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to show you how to set up the actual plugin to get started with Claude Cowork.